episode 401. But first, Taylor, I got to ask you like a very serious question. As you know, your Celtics are going up against my Philadelphia 76ers tomorrow, game seven.
Your 76ers.
Okay, I think that kind of gives me the answer that I was kind of expecting. But I guess what I'm asking you is, for this episode, are we actually going to be friends, or are we going to be enemies today? What are we doing?
I got nothing against the Chicago Bulls. Of course we're friends.
Yo. Well, I actually do. So I think that puts us on two opposite ends of the spectrum there. So
Nah, man, of course. Like I feel like I'm too old to like really like get into it. Like I'll argue. I like to argue. I like to talk shit about sports and stuff like that. But where maybe younger me would have let that bleed into other parts of life, it's kind of like, all right, me and you we got a show to do. We got a group chat to uphold.
yes.
You know what I mean? There's a code of conduct. There's ethics that you have to follow, and things get
Bylaws.
heated. And I feel like honestly, you and I do a good job of coming at it from a more like at least having some reasoning to talk about what you're talking about, and it not just being purely off of like emotion, which
Trolling and
is
stuff.
yeah. And I just
Although
don't.
you were kind of annoyed by the Dylan Brooks Marcus Smart comparison I was trying to
Oh,
make.
that was terrible. That was
it's
terrible.
not
And
it's
I
not
mean,
as terrible as Marcus Smart or Dylan Brooks to Jordan Poole.
well, that just didn't make sense. I can see where you're coming from
Okay, yes.
with the Smart Brooks thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's that close, and I don't think they play all that similarly. But I like I'd be I'd be lying to be like, no, I don't even know where you're coming. Like, yeah, of course I see where you're coming from, but it's like it's wrong, but I understand it.
I'll take that. I mean, in no way am I trying to suggest that Marcus Smart and Dylan Brooks are on the same level. It's just like one, the roles they play, two, the fact that they're inefficient shooters, and three, the fact that they're again, like I'm talking about their roles. They're defensive stoppers. That's the primary reason why they're on the team. Now in Marcus's case, it's also the fact that he's a leader in the locker room, which Dylan Brooks
Yeah.
cannot say. But I think they're more similar than different. It's just that one is actually respected in his locker room
I mean,
versus the
one is
other.
won actual playoff games with his
Yes,
offense.
that is also fair. Yes.
Like, we can go back. I mean, Smart's the longest tenured Celtic too, which doesn't feel like it, but like, I mean, he had the caliber to be a number one pick before he came out of college, and then he went an extra year and he went six. So it's like there is I like I said, I get where you're coming from. I get that they are like kind of like the tough guy, defensive guy thing on their team. Well, only one of them has a team at this point because under no
Under no
circumstances.
circumstances will he be re-signed, which is a crazy tweet. And I don't even think the
Unbelievable.
Grizzlies actually said that word for word. But what did you think about game six?
I mean, it was going to be a tough summer for Jason Tatum through 3.5 quarters. It was going to be real tough. And like, he's my favorite player in the NBA, has been for a long time now, but it was going to be a real tough summer because to start the way he started game, what, 4 or 5 and 6 now, not making a shot in any of those first quarters, and then going two whole first halves with, I think, either 0 or 1 field goals. And that was 4 and 6. And I mean, like, if you just look at the numbers, like game 5, he had 36 points, even though it didn't feel like it because the Sixers were up. Game 4, he ended up with like 24, 18, 6 assists, 4 blocks. So like, if you just look at the numbers after the fact, but I mean, you and I are watching the full every second of the game. So it's like, it would have been a real tough summer. And that was a big way for him to come through in the end there. And I think Philly will definitely shoot better. And I also think that Tatum will definitely not, like, 1 for 14 through 3.5 quarters. I don't think that's happening again. He might be
That's
inefficient again,
unacceptable.
but I don't think that we're going to get another one of those. So I think game 7 will be one for the books. And it's been a long time since, I mean, what, the last real game
What was the
7 that
last
was
real
like
game
close
seven?
like that was probably, I mean, the one that stands out to me, and I could be just missing something, would be like Raptors Sixers
Okay.
a couple
Yeah.
years ago, where it went
Yeah.
7 and it ended on a big shot, and
Kawhi.
it
That's
was,
one of the best shots I've ever seen in
yeah.
my
And
life.
in
Yeah.
The Eastern Conference too, just like we saw Denver blow Phoenix out, we saw the Lakers blow the Warriors out, and I feel like the Eastern Conference kind of feels like a little bit of like an Eastern Conference that you and I didn't get to experience because we're just too young, but like where it's like not crazy low scoring, like not like, 69 to 67, like the Knicks and the Pacers,
Disgusting.
but it's definitely like, I mean, the Sixers and Celtics are going at it.
Yeah.
There isn't, no one's rolling over. Like game 2 was the only like horrible blowout. And that was just, it is what it is. You know what I mean? When
You're
Malcolm Brogdon,
reacclimating a big piece, one of the biggest pieces in the league, back into your offense as well on the side of the Sixers. Like,
yeah, right. So it was just, but I'm excited for game 7.
I am too.
I think it's going to be one of the best, hopefully one of the best games of the playoffs, one of the best games of the seasons. And I fully expect everyone to show up. I think everyone on both sides, even with considering Tatum struggles, he's been doing a lot of other stuff. I think everyone has been doing their part.
Yeah.
You can look at like some games from Harden and some games from, Horford or whatever, but like at the end of the day, you're dealing with the two best teams in the Eastern Conference, arguably the two best
Two best
teams in the
teams in the league.
NBA.
Yeah.
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 And so I
I
anticipate a great game.
I feel like off of game 6, the Sixers played perfectly. They played as perfect for a team that did not make shots. And I feel like they had really, really good looks all game, just weren't going down. And because of that, like the whole asking me, am I nervous about game 7 or nothing like that? I mean, no, like if the Sixers once again play perfectly and miss shots, it is what it is. But I don't really expect that to happen because they
No,
were by
it's
percentage, they
game
were the
7 for a
best.
reason.
Yeah, they
It's
were the
7
best
for
three
like,
point
you know what I mean? Like
shooting
you don't
team.
get to game 7. I mean, I guess you could if both teams were just like absolute trash, just like,
No,
a mid off per
the
se.
the
But it's
Atlanta
like,
Hawks versus the New York Knicks.
yeah, something like that. But it's like you have two like heavyweights going at it, who are both dealing with like missed shots from, good players, strange performances, great performances. And I mean, my expectations for this series were definitely like Celtics to kind of walk through it, but that was like strictly based off just like recent history. You know what I mean?
Mm,
And then so like you can't really, it doesn't get better than this.
it
Like this
doesn't.
kind of
This
series
might
is
be the
what
best
you,
series of the whole
yeah,
playoffs,
this
honestly.
kind of series is what you want from two historic rivals in the playoffs with the MVP on one side, MVP candidate on the other. You got all NBA caliber players all over the floor, all-star caliber players all over the floor. And I will say the most impressive player in this entire series to me, and honestly this season, is Tyrese Maxey.
Yeah,
Like he's Sixers probably my least favorite team in sports, but he is awesome. He's just awesome to watch. Like everything he does. There was one play where I can't remember who got the rebound, but he just took off. Like
yeah,
in like he just took off, and it's like the full court pass in stride, like a receiver, pretty much straight into the layup. And it's like those are the kinds of things. And then little things like up faking Rob in the corner a little bit, driving baseline two-handed dunk, like stuff like that. Tyrese Maxey's been unbelievable to watch, and I think that he's had some tough games, but I think he's been the most impressive player in this series to me.
he's growing up before our eyes. I think
Yeah.
that going into, like I said this before, like going into the season or going into this playoffs, I kind of how I saw the scoring options working out would be Joel Embiid being the first scoring option. Obviously, he's the MVP. Tyrese Maxey, because he's the type of the guy that the same way that Devin Booker was getting you like 40 on like 20 of 25 or whatever. Like Tyrese Maxey is in that same category for me.
Yeah.
He's not at the 40 on 2025 yet, but he's like 30 on 15 of 20. That's kind of
Yeah.
like his
He's just,
peak
I mean,
right now.
he's
Yeah.
so fast.
But the thing that I also think adds to you being impressed by Tyrese Maxey, and I didn't really realize this until really last game, how good of defense he's playing. He's six
Yeah.
two. He's the smallest guy on the court as far as the starters go. And for him to still be able to be playable, he's not really being hunted like that.
No.
Um,
No,
so
actually, I wish game 4, uh, Tatum at the end of regulation or overtime, I wish one of the two he had just posted Maxi up and
mhm,
tried, like the fadeaway jumper over him, because he hit that over Tobias twice in game 3 to end the game. And so I was like, all right, let's see this. I mean, you have a smaller defender on you, and both times he got past Maxi because it's Jason Tatum
yeah,
and he kicked it. But like I kind of wish he had just ISO'd him at least one of those times. Preferably, I mean, I wanted that in regulation. And I mean, Smart got a great look and missed it. And then in overtime, I'd much rather have Tatum take the shot, even though again, it technically whatever, it's the right play. It's the same shit we dealt with LeBron forever, where
yes.
it was like, well, he kicked it to Kyle Korver in the corner. Why didn't he take the shot? And it's like, well, it's the right play, but I
And
mean,
also
Tatum was a
Kyle
second
Korver
late.
is one of the best shooters of all time.
Well,
Like,
and
if there was anyone for you to kick it to,
our
be Kyle Korver.
our man, B-Man 260, Bobby Manning, on the post-game show after game 6, he brought up a good point. He was like, no one talks about it. Marcus Smart hit the shot
Yeah.
at the end of
It
game
was
4. He hit it.
Yeah.
Like he made it.
That was the revenge for the Joel Embiid shot that didn't go well. It went in, but it didn't count at the end of the
I was
regular
thinking the
season.
same when it happened. I was like, yep, that's all right. That's even now.
Ready to talk about some music?
Of course.
All right. This is the Cat Podcast, episode 401. Thank you for watching on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Stitcher, and more. Do us a favor, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at OldMilk Media, and check out all the Old Milk content on oldmilk.co. This is your weekly tour through hip hop. This is our first episode actually talking about a new album. So congratulations to us and congratulations to you for watching. Thank you for watching once again. But before we get into that, we do have some segments to get through first. The first one would be our power rankings of the albums that we've been listening to the most since 2023 began until May. We're on May 13th right now. So till May 13th. Taylor, do you want to go first?
Absolutely. So I've been listening to the new, this is real Western Mass shit. I've been listening to the new tape Americana by DJ Lucas. That would be my number 3. Number 2, Great Escape, Larry June, Alchemist. I think that'll be played for the next 50 years for me. And then number 1 has been The Ways of Knowing by Navy Blue. I listen to that multiple times every single day, and that's definitely my number 1 album of the year, my number 1 album by Navy Blue, my number 1 album of right now, and I don't see it going anywhere. That's kind of an album that's been sticking with me in a way that music doesn't seem to stick to me like it used to when I was younger. So that's definitely Americana, Great Escape, Ways of Knowing.
All right. At number 3 for me, I have I Swear Vezo and DJ Drama's Paint the City. That's a Gangsta Grills. That came out last year, I believe. It's the best I Swear Vezo tape that I've heard so far of his career. I've also heard Rich Off Pints 2, and Rich Off Pints 3, and I think that the just Drama just adds something to albums. And at this point, if Drama's on it, I'm gonna listen to it. So that's why that's number 3. Number 2, we did a review on this one last year. It was actually the last review we did of season 3, Absol Herbert. When I said that album probably would have been album of the year for me if it would have came out earlier, I meant it. I've been listening to it since, and I've been getting so much more, like seeing so much more or hearing so much more of the wordplay that Absol has, and just seeing his talent once again and being happy that he's back making music and he's healthy and seemingly living a happy life. And number 1, his fellow TDE label mate, she is not hip hop, but her album is probably going to run this whole year. SZA's SOS. I mean, there are just so many countless good tracks on there. SOS, Kill Bill is probably going to be the song of the year. It's been dominating on the Billboard charts, and it's still really, really good. Also, really, really catchy melody. Like when I actually sat down and intently listened to SOS, like that song, the melody of it just kept being stuck in my head to the point where I had to listen to it over and over and over again. I was actually hanging out with friends, and we were talking about SZA, and they played the song. They didn't finish it though, so then it led to that song Kill Bill being stuck in my head once again. So then I had to force them to play it so it can finally leave and I can actually enjoy other songs on this album, like Notice Me, F2F. I'm definitely missing some, but overall, really, really good album. I listen to it from front to back every time. Every time I've been in the shower, really, like every time I'm like just need something to listen to, this is it. So yeah, that is it for power rankings of 2023 until May. So like 4.5 months at this point. All right, next up, we do have another segment versus we're gonna compare 2 albums from NBA Youngboy before we actually get into this new NBA Youngboy album, Richest Opp. Well, it's a tape. But still, we are going to compare Don't Try This at Home versus Ma, I Got a Family, which was with DJ Drama. Taylor, between Don't Try This at Home and Ma, I Got a Family, which one do you prefer?
Oh, Ma, I Got a Family, easily. You said it while you were ranking them. If DJ Drama's on it, I'm definitely going to listen to that, and I'm definitely going to intently listen to it, and I'm definitely going to be, I feel so lucky that we're getting a DJ Drama renaissance the last few years after, people our age, we miss like the peak of DJ Drama just by a little bit. Like Dream Chasers 2, when that came out with Meek Mill, it was like, all right, this is DJ Drama. And I was in middle school when that came out, and So I like, yeah, My Got a Family, definitely going to that. And it's I'll be perfectly transparent. It's because of DJ Drama. Like, I want to listen to the DJ Drama drops. I want to, even though he had some crazy things to say in there, like obviously the Drum Brady one is funny, but when he said and we
Just
talked
eat
about
this.
it
Just
last
eat
fall.
this dick. Call me Jeffrey Drummer.
Yeah, that one. That's the one I was thinking of. But yeah, and then Don't Try This at Home. I love the artwork on Don't Try This at Home. I love like that album cover is perfect to me. But like 30 songs, it's that meme where it's like, I'm sorry, I'm happy for you, but I'm not reading all that. It's like that's how I feel. 30 songs. I did listen to all the way through, kind of just to get the full picture of it. And then I went back through and I just listened to the first 5 seconds and I hit skip as it was going. And I'll be honest, like 20 of the songs sound exactly the same to start. And I was like, yep, you know, great effort. It's like, I'm not reading all that.
Yeah, I agree. My Got a Family is probably the best young boy album that has come out within the past 2 years. First of all, Kick It is a really, really good outro. Pop Out is a really good intro with the DJ drama drops on it. Obviously, it adds to that. I admit is one of the honestly, okay, yeah, I admit is one of the best songs that Youngboy has dropped in the past 2 years. Um, it's funny because I did make a point about saying other songs on this new album, Richest Opp, would be like one of the best NBA YoungBoy songs. So that's why I was just kind of shocked with myself for a little bit there. But yeah, My Got a Family, I'll listen to that any day. Over Don't Try This at Home. I'm still kind of warming up to it. Don't Try This at Home. Like it did come out like a month ago, but right now, My Got a Family definitely in the lead. All right. After this, we are going to talk about NBA YoungBoy's Richest Opp. So don't touch that dial. Yo, this Young Lil album is the best of all time. I can't wait to talk to Taylor about it, man. This is gonna be the greatest thing ever. Yo, what's good, Taylor? How you doing?
I hate this album.
Do you have to clean your ears first?
My
What's wrong with you?
girlfriend said everything I play in the car scares her. She said I lost all my taste.
Clearly.
And I need your help.
Well, what am I supposed to do about it? You want me to order you Q-tips?
No, I need hoodies. I need a beanie. I need t-shirts. I need you to help.
All right, I'll see what I can do. I can send you this beanie, but everything else we're gonna have to see. Introducing the 2023 OldMilk collection. This collection, comprised of hoodies, t-shirts, beanies, and stickers designed by Nate Sperlin, is guaranteed to show everyone your superior style and taste. Man, I hope Taylor doesn't scare the viewers with that bummy outfit. Oh, no bummy outfit today. Look at that.
No, I'm much better. The album sounded better. Everything is better. All thanks to OldMilk.
Rush over to oldmilk.co to shop the 2023 OldMilk collection today. All right, and we are back. This is the Cat Podcast, once again, episode 401, and we are talking about NBA YoungBoy's latest tape, Richest Opp, which is 17 tracks, 49 minutes long, and it features one other artist, NBA Ben 10. Now, some context, around this album. NBA YoungBoy's last album released was April 21st. That was Don't Try This at Home. It had 33 tracks featuring Mariah the Scientist, Nicki Minaj, Post Malone, and the Kid Laroi. It went to sell 60,000 album equivalent units in the first week. And then, so the lead up to this album, Richest Opp, Lil Durk teases an album to be released on May 12th, which would have been yesterday. It ends up being a single, All My Life with J. Cole, very wholesome single. He got like kids in the video, and they have like they're on the hook and they're saying "All My Life," like all that stuff. Like it's pretty cool. And now we know that Lil Durk's new album titled "Almost Healed" would drop on May 26th. Now, how does this relate to NBA YoungBoy? Well, one, Lil Durk and NBA YoungBoy are rivals. The reason why YoungBoy dropped Richest Opp is to compete with Lil Durk's newest album. And that being said, we're probably going to get another NBA YoungBoy album on May 26th to compete with Almost Healed by Lil Durk. So that being said, Taylor, what are your first initial impressions on Richest Opp?
Yes, so we've done 2 YoungBoy episodes since I joined the podcast, and both times I've said it, like NBA YoungBoy, not my favorite artist. I wouldn't call myself a fan, and I'm definitely not listening to his music casually. But Richest Opp is easily my. I like this project more than anything I've ever heard from YoungBoy, and maybe I wasn't maybe I wasn't around for the earlier stuff, that stuff that really made him, take off. But at 17 tracks, 49 minutes, I feel like this is a relatively polished piece of work, and I think there's some moments on this album that almost explain to me the insane fandom that NBA YoungBoy has. That almost like lets me in to the world of like the avid fandom that he's built, because he does. He has one of the most impressive fan bases in hip hop right now. He is one of the most like tenacious, loyal, diehard fan bases in rap. So there there are definitely moments on this album that help me understand why people connect so deeply with his music, and why people are so intensely obsessed with his music, in his character, and him as an artist, and in all that. And so I think that out of all the young boy that I've listened to, and most of it, like I've said this before, most of it is to talk about it with you, and most of it is you kind of like sending me stuff and encouraging me to be like, all right, give this a try. Don't go into it being like, all right, you're not gonna like this. Because so I went into this with an open mind. Again, I like the artwork. 17 tracks, that's perfect. And so yeah, this is the most enjoyable time I've had listening to Young Boy. Comparatively, we'll see what that means, but that's my overarching view, is that this is the most listenable album that I've heard from him, at least for me.
I like that you use the word polished with this one. Um, so I want to say 2 or 3 months ago, Youngboy does interviews with Billboard and Rap Radar. And I believe in the Rap Radar interview promoting Don't Try This at Home, he says, I'm gonna talk my shit on this album. So part of the reason why I was kind of disappointed with Don't Try This at Home is because I was going into it with that expectation of we're gonna get Black Air Force One Youngboy. And we got that through the lyrics, but we didn't get that through the tone of Young Boy throughout those 33 tracks or however long it is. On Richest Opp, we get that. And I feel like that's why I'm connecting with this project more than Don't Try This at Home, because the importance of Young Boy's tone, and I think the reason why he's able to connect with so many different fans is because, and I've said this before, when Young Boy is sad, going through something, and he's making a song about how he's sad, his tone usually indicates that, and because of that, you feel, oh, he's sad. I'm feeling that through the music. If he's angry about something, again, his tone, you get that angry Young Boy. You're feeling that. You're like, oh, I'm angry too. I'm ready to go lift some weights or punch a wall or do something else. So I didn't really think that Young Boy really had that tone on Don't Try This at Home. I feel like he was kind of dusting it off. And I'm glad that he was able to drop Richest Opp. Because now it's all dusted off. It's all like mid-season form. And because of that, as I said before, I'm connecting with this project more. Um, However, it is interesting because in those two interviews as well, he's talking about how he's trying to stop the violence. He's trying to basically change his image. But then at, after academics seemingly says that the young boy Lil Durk beef is done, he just flips a switch and he's like, no, we're still beefing. Like, fuck Durk, blah, 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 blah. And that's why we're getting these. That's why it looks like Young Boy is so eager to compete with Lil Durk in terms of sales, because he wants to obviously be better than him and blah blah blah, like stuff like that. So it's just interesting to see how much that turn or how quickly that shifted and how quickly he reverted back to old Young Boy. On one hand, it's disappointing because I do want to see him grow as a person, but on the other hand, angry Young Boy is like that's why I'm here. That's the whole reason why I'm here, and that's like his best bag in my opinion. And I love all the heartfelt stuff that he does too. But for the most part, if I'm in the gym, I want to listen to NBA Young Boy yell at me so I can get through these weights, and that's what Rich's Op gives me. Um, I think a good place to start with talking about how Young Boy is reverting back to actively beefing with the industry is talking about Fuck the Industry Part 2, where he disses J. Cole, Drake, Jay Prince, and Lil Yachty. I'm not really sure if the Drake one is a diss, but it's not the same on the same level as the J. Cole, Jay Prince, Lil Yachty thing. The J. Cole incident, the reason why he disses J. Cole is because well, one, I assume at this point J. Cole did a song with Dirk, so I'm sure Young Boy isn't happy with that. Additionally, I want to say a year or two ago, there were some rumors about Youngboy and J. Cole collabing, and it was something that never came to fruition. The story goes that J. Cole was in the studio waiting for Youngboy, and Youngboy just couldn't make it. Jay Prince, that's just a whole other thing that I just don't want to get into. The Lil Yachty thing, I'm kind of surprised about. Like, I don't really fully get that. I might have to do some more digging with that. And the Drake thing is that Drake fucks with Lil Durk, and because of that, Drake felt like he would be disloyal to Lil Durk to do something with NBA Youngboy. So because of that, Youngboy feels like Drake picked the side, and because of that, he wants Drake to stay over there. But it's just a very interesting track to put. But it does reinforce the Black Air Force One energy that we are expecting from Youngboy.
Yeah, I also think that it's become very clear over the last few years that Youngboy is a master marketer. Like, he understands exactly what is going to sell, what's going to drive the numbers, whether it's putting out a 33 track tape and then following it up with another album the same year that has disses on, one of the biggest artists in the world, his like new best friend in Lil Yachty. At least that's what it seems like. His like his mob boss and Jay Prince. You know what I mean? And then his like kind of, and not saying this is all about Drake, but I'm just drawing these connections. And then like there's been a little like budding, like, you know what I mean, public friendship between Drake and J. Cole again, which I don't think there was ever any tension there, friction there, but it is, yeah. He's a master marketer. He knows exactly what he's going to sell, and like you were saying earlier, he's so good at, and I'm sure the emotions are real, you know what I mean, I'm not saying they're not, but he's so good at like the tone thing and being like, oh, he actually, this isn't just for like haha, you know what I mean, this is like for real. I mean, call Lil Yachty a very strong word, and I was interested. Like, that was a little moment, and then Yachty tweeted out the 50 Cent like, what's fuck me for?
Me?
Yeah, so that was like that. I think Yachty handled that in a way that didn't make it anything more than what it was. But yeah, I think he's a master marketer, and this whole album to me sounds a lot like someone who has been cooped up in a house in Utah for over a year now, and is like, all right, I gotta be able to, move my fan base, however, from this one spot. And what's the easiest way to do it? And again, not saying it's not real emotion, but what's the easiest way to stir up, you know, social media frenzy, fan base, beef? It's like, yeah, let me take a shot at Drake. Let me say that I was on FaceTime with Drake and he said that we couldn't do a song because he's close with Lil Durk. He's worked with Lil Durk. So like, you know what I mean? Like, what better way to get things going for that? And I I mean, that song, I understand the value of it. It's not one of my favorite moments on the album, and it's probably because I don't really have any investment into any of those beefs or tension or really anything going on over there. But I understand it, and obviously, like, Youngboy's been trending for 2 whole days on Twitter now, so it's like like, he's so good at understanding exactly how to move things, when to move things, and then for that song to be the one that gets the video, you know what I mean? Like, I understand what he did, and that's the hook. That's what draws people into this whole album. That's what get people to listen to this album. And then, I mean, like you mentioned earlier, the fact that he's like, all right, like, Dirk was supposed to drop today, but he didn't, so he's going to drop in 2 weeks. So Dirk thinks he's in the clear, and then Youngboy is like, no, I have another album ready.
Yeah.
Like there's a level of pettiness there that's like, so you have the excitement of another project, but there's also the pettiness of like, oh, you thought you could duck me? Like, no, I have more.
Yeah.
And he's one of those artists with he's prolific with how often he releases, so it's not surprising that he has more, but it is very funny that he's already ready to go in another 2 weeks just to put one out the same day Dirk does, which was his original plan, and Dirk thought he got him. You know what I mean? Dirk thought he got him, and then it's like, nah, like, come on. This guy
Yeah.
always has music.
Yeah, I was getting ready to call these songs throwaways, but considering the fact that, as you said, Youngboy drops so consistently, I don't know if we can really consider these throwaways. This might have been an album that would have come out like in June, but instead he moved it up, and then the next one might be something that comes out in August, and he's moving it up. So that'll definitely be interesting to
Well, and then he'll
see.
still drop in June and August.
Yes, he
Like,
will.
like that's the thing.
It's your Youngboy is like if I were to make a comparison, Russell Westbrook from the standpoint of, or Giannis from the standpoint of, they do not cheat you with their effort when it comes to being consistent with releasing music. Like, you
No, for
know,
sure.
you are in for at least 100 songs a year from Youngboy. The same way you know that Russell Westbrook or Giannis is going to give you 110 each time they're out on the court. So that is really, really admirable of Youngboy as well. And I think that because of that, that kind of leads to a comparison between him and Future, because Future also for a while he kind of calmed down like within the past 2 or 3 years. But Future was also another artist who was notorious for releasing over and over and over. You released Future and Future Hendrix like back to back
Come on
weeks.
now.
I mean,
Come on now.
they're both limitless too. I mean, there's more comparisons that could be made here, but staying on topic and staying on Richest Opp, I do think going back to what I was saying earlier in terms of the verses segment that we had, I think that Bitch Let's Do It and Perspective would be two of the most popular Youngboy songs that he's released over the past 2 3 years. There was kind of like a argument going around about Youngboy doesn't really have any, like, he has fans, but in terms of casual fans, what would they know? What would they listen to in terms of what would be the hottest song? That's kind of been non-existent for the past 2 3 years. That's what the argument is. But I think that Bitch Let's Do It perspective, and also I admit off of My I Got a Family with Nicki Minaj, I think that those three songs are really the biggest songs that Youngboy has had over the past 2 3 years. He's had plenty of other quality songs, obviously, but just in terms of songs that are easy to catch on to, songs that have that star power, songs that just sound like you could play them in multiple situations. I think it's those three for sure. Additionally, the flute on Perspective, as well as how Young Boy's flow complements the flute, that makes that song one of my favorites of the album. Bitch Let's Do It, as I said, really, really catchy. And I also like the one feature verse that we have on this album, Ben 10's verse on Chopstick. I think that he carries that song as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's always good to. I feel like as I've gotten older, I like features less and less because I'm more interested in hearing what the main artist has to say. But I do think that that verse is good, and I think it fit within the greater context of this album. I also think that as Youngboy gets older, it is really interesting to hear him still be so Louisiana. Like, there's moments on this where I'm like, this sounds, and it's easy comparison to make, you know what I mean? And I'm not gonna act like it's a big brain take, but there's moments where you're like, okay, like I can hear Wayne
Yeah.
in this, you know what I mean? And I also think he gets into little pockets sometimes where he sounds like so much like Young Thug, like where he's just like the way he's going in and out of stuff, like getting it, like just so like, you know, I don't know how to describe it necessarily, but it's like he's just in and out of like pockets, and I'm like, there's only one other person I've ever heard like get in and out of stuff like this, and it's Thug. So yeah, like again, I don't know if I'll ever be swayed to be a fan per se, but I think I like your point about perspective when we get into favorite songs, like, and you talk about there hasn't really been a song that casuals would be super into. I mean, that's the one.
Yeah.
That is the one. That's the first one on my list.
Yeah. Well, let's get into favorite songs actually. Taylor, how would you power rank your favorite tracks on Richest Opp?
So from least to best, or from last to first, I think I have Father as number 4. I think that's a kind of like slowed down a little bit, more introspective. I can't think of the right word. And that's subdued song where it's just kind of more like, and that's what I like, because that helps me like get into an artist way more than like I said, like Youngboy, like, you know, yelling at me. So I have Father. I Shot Cupid number 3. I think the spelling on Cupid is hilarious. The Qupid, and I think it's another example of, you know, it's like that like slowed down, subdued Youngboy, and it's not a super like fast paced, like super like crazy, like pull up to Salt Lake City. That's, first of all, I don't even know what song that's on, but there's one of the songs he said pull up to Salt Lake City, and I was like, all right, I guess I've never heard that in a song. But number 2, I have Slimes Go Where I Go. That's my favorite hook on the album. That has the same, that's like probably the most like ominous song on this album that I actually like. And it's because it's like it's ominous. It has that energy. It has that dark energy, that creeping through the night energy, but it's also like very much, I think it's like creative and intricate at the same time. And that's my favorite hook on the album. And that's one of the ones that kind of stuck with me. And then, as I was just mentioning, Perspective is my favorite song on the album. That's my number one. I think the production on that is very clean. I think Youngboy finds every flow he needs to on that song. And I just think that for me, as a person who doesn't listen to Youngboy really ever, besides when we need to talk about it, or if you send me something and it's a situation where it's like, all right, give this a listen because you want to see what I think about it. I think that song, maybe out of any Youngboy song that I've ever heard, has been the one where I'm like, all right, like I could see myself, playing this casually and just listening to it, because I think it's just like the cleanest production wise, cleanest raps, and it doesn't go off the rails into some, like, you know what I mean? Like, I want his soul. Like, you know what I mean? That last song, that's like, I want his soul. So yeah, those are my four favorite, and that's the order they're in.
Yeah. It's funny that you say that well, I mean, we've talked about this before, but you don't really like the yelling. I think that if Youngboy did more yelling on Slimes Go Where I Go, I would like that song a lot more.
Yeah.
Because it does have that ominous energy that you were talking about, but I just need the extra like, I'm angry. Let's go
Yeah.
run into some people and shoot hoops and stuff like that. Like that's the type of music that really that really makes me want to go into the paint and like just score layups.
Shoot hoops.
But my power rankings are what you got to do. Something about him. Every time he talks about his grandma, it's usually like a nice, well, not nice, but it's usually like a heartfelt song, and you really feel that emotion that goes with that. And that's why what you're gonna do is on this list for me. I got that shit. Follows up. But if we're talking about baseball, sometimes you need someone to protect your power hitter, or else they're gonna get walked every time. That's what I got that shit does for Bitch Let's Do It. It's protection. It's really, really good. You can't skip up like Bitch Let's Do It and I Got That Shit together are just like Anthony Rizzo and Aaron Judge. Sorry, Taylor.
They're in last place. Doesn't bother me at all.
On the second on my list, I have Perspective. That flute is crazy. Like Taylor says, Youngboy finds all the flows that he needs to. It's the perfect example of Youngboy's talent as someone who can make hits when he wants to. And number one, I have Bitch Let's Do It. Really good intro track. And I think that it perfectly meshes the Black Air Force One energy that I'm expecting from Youngboy, as well as the hit making potential that he has. So that is my top four. All right, moving on. Let's rate this album. Excuse me. We're gonna go by personal playback value, meaning how long we expect this album to stay in our personal rotations, and then the objective playback value, meaning how long we expect this album to be relevant in hip hop. So, Taylor, you can go first.
So personal playback value, and you and I talked about this before, and I was maybe too harsh, but it's low for me. It's not. NBA Youngboy isn't an artist that I play consistently. He's not an artist that I check for consistently. Obviously you can't ignore him because everything trends, everything goes to number one, everything is in your face. So my personal playback value is low, but that's because I'm listening to other things, and I'm just also just not a fan really. And as I get older, I'm definitely listening to music that I like way more than music that I should be listening to, or way more than music that I'm trying to like, be like, like, hello, fellow kids. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but that
Please don't ever
leads,
say that again.
yeah, I know that it leads pretty perfectly into my objective playback. And I think the objective playback is high. The timeline, I'm not sure, because music goes so fast nowadays, where it's like, playback value could be like, well, this one lasted for a few weeks, like that. It really stands the test of time now. But I think that because of the bars about other rappers, especially J. Cole, Drake, like Lil Yachty, it'll stay relevant for a decent amount of time. And I think that if songs like Perspective get the push they deserve, if they end up with videos, if they end up with the proper treatment, then I think this project could last a long time off of just the strength of that. Now, again, what does a long time mean? We'll have to see. But I think the objective playback value, the playback value for other people, will be much longer than the playback value for me.
Yeah. my personal playback value probably be 8 weeks. I see this album staying in my rotation for a long time. The Black Air Force One energy on it, as I said before, countless times throughout this episode. Also the heartfelt songs that we've talked about. Perspective being the biggest potential hit here, really adds to that as well. As far as objective playback value, this one is going to be interesting, and I'm very prepared to be wrong about this. But considering that Lil Durk is going to drop in 2 weeks, which means Youngboy is probably going to drop in 2 weeks, I think that this album is going to objectively last for 2 weeks as the top of the conversation. I think it is possible for Youngboy to have 3 albums in the top 40 on the Billboard 200, which would be really, really impressive for any artist to do. And that might lead to increasing the longevity of this album in terms of how it is talked about or how long it is talked about within the ether. But I think a safe estimate would be 2 weeks. All right. This has been the Cat Podcast, episode 401. Let us know what you think about NBA Youngboy's Richest Opp in the comments below. Thank you for watching. Do us a favor, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at OldMilk Media. And check out all the OldMilk merch from the OldMilk 2023 collection on oldmilk.co. You see this shirt right here. Really, really nice shirt. And yeah, Taylor, do you have anything to say?
I mean, I just have a question if we have time.
We have time. What's the
Can you
question?
show your shirt again?
Yes, I can.
What arena is that? I'm having trouble making it out.
It's Madison Square Garden.
Oh. So the arena that'll be empty until October.
Yes. Well, no,
Right.
Billy Joel still plays there.
Man, don't talk. Come on. I'm trying to take a shot at the Knicks.
Oh yeah, no, I'm blocking. I'm gonna block
like,
that.
I don't know. Billy Joel's selling it out.
Yeah, I'm blocking that like Joel Embiid will block Tatum's shot tomorrow, hopefully.
I mean, Joel Embiid scared Tatum to the point he doesn't even try to get to the rim anymore. So
you're right. Because of that, the chances of that happening are probably zero. But thank you for watching. We'll be back when hip hop tells us to be. We are out.
OldMilk